Lesson 7.2, equations with rational numbers. In the previous video, we did two equations where it had fractions in them and we had to solve for the variable. Now we're going to do two examples where we have decimals in the equation. Now we still follow the same 5 steps to solve the equations, right? We've used that. We use E, C, G, and S. Every cowboy gets nervous sometimes. We eliminate the parentheses by the distributed property. We combine like terms. We get the variable on one side, numbers on the other, and then we solve for the variable. In example 1, we have 2.6y plus 7.2 equals 6.6y plus 11.2. Now, we could solve this equation and leave the decimals in there, but moving decimals around, operating with decimals could become messy. And so to avoid that, we can multiply both sides by some number so that we end up with only integers. Now, when dealing with decimals, we need to multiply both sides by a power of 10 so that we get only integers. Now, as you can see here, we have one digit after the decimal. And so if we have one digit after the decimal, we can multiply both sides by 10 to get rid of the decimal. Because multiplying by 10 is the same thing as moving the decimal one place to the right. And so let's take this left side and multiply by 10 and take the right side and multiply by 10. As you can see, I put both sides in parentheses to show that I'm multiplying by 10. I do the same thing to both sides. Now, to eliminate the parentheses, I would distribute. So I have 10 times 2.6y. 10 times 2.6y. Well, if I'm multiplying by 10, I take this decimal and go one place to the right. And so 10 times 2.6y is going to be 26y. I also distribute to this number, 10 times 7.2. If I'm multiplying by 10, take the decimal, move one place to the right. If I move it one place to the right, this number is now positive 72, so plus or positive 72. I bring my equal sign down. I also need to distribute on the right side. I have 10 times 6.6y. If I'm multiplying by 10, that is the same thing as moving this decimal one place to the right. And so this number is going to be 66y. I also distribute to this term. 10 times 11.2. Multiplying by 10 is the same thing as moving this decimal one place to the right. So now this number is positive 112 or plus 112. Now look at my equation. I have no decimals, right? It looks a little cleaner. It looks a little easier to solve. Now, I need to combine like terms. I look left, I don't have any. I look right, I don't have any like terms to combine. So I go to step 3, get the variable on one side. Let's get the y's on the right side so that they're positive. To do that, I would need to subtract 26 from both sides, subtract 26y, so that those 26y's cancel. So now I have 72 on the right side, bring my equal sign down, 66y minus 26y, well that's 40y, and I still have to add 112. Now, since I have my variable on the right side, get the numbers on the other, so move this number to the other side by subtracting 112. Subtract 112, so those 112s cancel. 72 minus 112, that's negative 40. Is equal to 40y. Solve for y by dividing by the number in front of the letter, or the coefficient, which is 40. Those 40 simplify, and so y is equal to negative 40 divided by 40. That's negative 1, right? So y is negative 1. All right, in example number 2, we'll do one more example. I have 0.5 plus 0.5k. 0.5k is equal to 0.3k plus 0.6. Again, I could solve this by leaving the decimals in it, but let's try to eliminate the decimals so that I'm dealing only with integers. Now, how many digits do you see after the decimal? I see one digit after the decimal, one digit after the decimal, one digit, one digit. And so if I multiply both sides of this equation by 10, I can get rid of those decimals because I would move all of the decimals one place to the right. So let's multiply the left side by 10 and the right side by 10. Okay? So now here, I distribute the 10. 10 times 0.5, that's 5, right? Because I moved the decimal one place to the right. 10 times 0.5k, again, that's going to be plus or positive 5k. Don't forget your k. Bring the equal sign down. 10 times 0.3k, well, that's move the decimal one place to the right. That's 3k. 10 times 0.6, move the decimal one place to the right. That is positive 6 or plus 6. From this point, the equation looks a lot cleaner, a lot easier to solve here. Get the variable on one side. I'm going to try to move the k to the left side by subtracting 3k. So those 3k's cancel. So I'm left with 5 plus 5k minus 3k is 2k. Bring the equal sign down. All I have left over here is 6. Since my variable is on the left side, I need to get the numbers on the right side. So get that number over there by subtracting 5. Subtract 5 from both sides so that those 5's cancel. So now I'm left with 2k. Bring the equal sign down. 6 minus 5 is 1. Now I solve for k. How do I solve for k? I divide by the coefficient, or the number in front of the letter. Here's the letter, or the variable. The number in front of that is 2. So I divide this side by 2 and this side by 2. Those two simplify, and so k is equal to this number. What's that number? 1 over 2? That is 1/2. K is equal to 1/2.